Blood on their hands and every heart is the same whether you want it or not. Show me yours and I show you my blood. Blood. Algo dentro hay no es normal. Si lo contengo explotará. No quiero creer que dolerá. Busco saber qué hay más allá. Sacar la máscara.
Hey everybody, this is, you already know, this if it's a few minutes past 11 o'clock on the dial wherever you're listening to, and on the or YouTube, and or on 106.9 FM, or whatever. It's time for the Club with Lucas here. And how is everybody doing? And yes, Lord, today is a gift, so let's unwrap that little bitch with some joy and pitter patter. Let's get at her. It's been a hot minute, right? I mean, feeling like it's a hot minute. And in fact, it seems like we might be having some technical issues. Are we having technical issues? No, excuse me. All right, that's just me because I'm connected to the invitados and I should be connected to the real one here because I'm the real one here. So how is everybody doing? Listen, if it's a few minutes past 11 o'clock, it's time for the Club with Lucas on RCE 106.9 FM, and my family is here. In fact, they're not really my family, but they're mis hermanos in Jesus. Oh my God. But thank you so much because the cast of The Unveiling, which is actually it's already premiering, actually, at the BCN studio. And these boys, it's actually all courtesy to Trapdoor Theater as well. So I want to give a mad shout out to that. And its director as well, Lady Beata. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. In fact, really quickly before we dive in, and I keep on sweating like Richard Nixon, introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, my name is Samuel Allen. I'm an actor from Cyprus, and I've been living in Barcelona for a long time.
Hey, my name is Lena Sakala. I'm an American actress and writer, now here based in the beautiful Barcelona too.
Yes, hi, I'm Aldo de Baños. I am a Spanish-Brazilian actor, and I'm also based in Barcelona for 8 years now.
Exactly. So most of us have been here for a hot minute. Probably not as long as me. I'm 84 years old. No. But, yeah. But the BCN studio, where this is now playing, this is called The Unveiling. It's actually the first production of the pre-summer season here in Catalonia in English. And that theater is located in Poble Sec. In fact, that street address is Elcano number 26. Carrer Elcano number 26. You can also get all that information at the bcnstudios.com and get tickets information of that as well. I want you to follow me as well because you know how we roll here. The Club with Lucas on IG, English Radio BCN on FB. If you still do that. Some people do. You'd be surprised. If you're over 60,
exactly,
everyone and their mom,
yeah.
or Latino, you do it too. You can find the tunes as well as rce.cat and 106.9 all over the beautiful state of Catalonia. And you can watch our pretty faces with your peepholes at YouTube at RCE 1069 FM as well. We've got a lot to serve up as well as a little bit of news for you. So let's get at it. A little bit of tunes before we do this. Actually, I'm going to keep a little bit of the music today en plan como literal, tío. Flashbacky. It's going to be a little flashbacky. Yeah. I hope we're okay with a little flashbacky. This is going to be a bit of an acid jazz tune as well. It's from an older group called, and this is totally 90s, 2000s, called United Future Org. If you remember them, then you remember them. But we are proud of a loud minority. Because we are, bitch. And we'll be right back in 3 to 4 minutes, children, because there's a little bit of news and only I can serve it up to you in English like we do. And we'll be right back. It's on rce.cat. Yeah. Just a little bit of jazz. I hope you have some cocktails going, tales of gack. Now, let's do a little bit of breaking news roundup because we're going to start off here in Spain and Catalonia, where apparently a severe heat wave is hitting. Can you feel it? A major heat wave has affected several regions in Spain. In fact, they say several regions as Andalusia, Extremadura, Aragon, Castilla, La Mancha, Castilla, León, Catalonia, Extremadura, Madrid, Nevada. It's hit the country. Okay, it's like, the hell? Some of them, it's all of them. With temperatures going to be reaching above 40 degrees Celsius, obviously here in Catalonia, there's going to be a little bit of ranging, but here in our beautiful city of Barcelona, the temperatures in the sun index, the heat index is going to be around 31, 32, which is not that bad. It's the 1st of June. It should be this way, right? I mean, this is a Spain. But it's funny because the advisory boards that are coming from the tourism things are especially pointing these advisories, and I'm not laughing, I'm just saying, towards Irish people. And Irish people have been warned to please reconsider delay their trips until conditions stabilize. This is actually coming off several of the presses here in Spanish news, converted into English. But yeah, interesting. Also, new laws coming into effect about tourist apartments. Get ready, children, because that affects mostly who? Catalonia. So pay attention, heifers. A new law has been enacted allowing community property owners associations, i.e. all those people you see at the bottom of the stairs having meetings, to veto homes once in a while, to veto homes being used for tourist accommodations, reversing the long-standing policy that has favored these rentals for, well over a decade now. So if the housing community, the people who own in buildings, get wind of what's happening, they can, en plan como literal, kick it out and make it stop happening. They now have the power to do that. So I hope everybody who's doing that is in good standing order with everybody who owns buildings, flats in their buildings around the cities, because that's happening. Also, another thing that happened, let me get a little bit of water here because no one likes to hear the snap, snap. When people are, come closer, let's do it, ASMR.
Parched.
Let's not say we did. A historic court case on euthanasia just passed as well. A 23-year-old woman is at the center of this landmark legal battle in Spain, seeking permission to end her life despite her father's objections. This case has sparked national debate on euthanasia laws and individual rights, and I really, really want to bring it to a weird question before we jump into the United States. What do you think about euthanasia? We grew up in, I remember Kevorkian. Do you remember Dr. Kevorkian? No?
I don't think
okay.
so.
She's only 17,
Yeah,
guys.
she's-
So that's the thing. Do you remember
She's
Dr.
fresh now.
Kevorkian? No. Okay.
There's a couple of episodes of the X-Files that actually reference this, but
I mean, he sounds Armenian.
Yeah.
Like Cher and Kim. And yes, but he was actually the one who created a machine that you could hook up, and if you chose to end your life, obviously it sparked, this is I'm going to say mid to late 90s, and over the last 30 years it sparked a lot of different debates. There are some countries that actually now have enshrined euthanasia laws into their constitutions. We have not done that. What do you guys think about euthanasia? Do you think if someone has chosen to end their life because of something certainly debilitating that's going to end it anyway, what do you think about that? I'm just curious at a layman's thing.
I think it's crazy that it's not legal everywhere. Like, I think it just doesn't
okay.
make sense to me because so many people suffer and spend many years of their life in pain. Their family have to watch them disintegrate, and they're kept alive on machines using sources that could be used for other, in other ways. And these people who don't want to go on. So I think it's like torturous actually to do that. So I'm really happy that Spain is changing that way, and
It's certainly looking
the
different,
Netherlands
yeah.
have had that for ages now. I think Canada, like there's lots of countries that are opening their mind to it. So that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of
Maybe,
going back to like your body, your choice. You know what I mean? Like
was
no
gonna
one
say-
can justify or truly judge someone else's decision because we are not them. We don't have their life experiences and
Except the U.S. Supreme Court, they can do that.
well, I mean, there's always exceptions, right? But I think as well, something to take into consideration is that depending on the country that you're in the welfare state, like it also is quite financially expensive to,
Maintain someone.
maintain.
Yeah.
And talking about like a quality of life that, maybe I'm having versus someone else, like, whoa, mine would be very different than another person. So I think there's a lot to take into consideration. But at the end of the day, I do think that people should have the freedom to choose. Even though that's an edgy sort, I do think so.
Mr. A, what do you think, boss?
Yeah, actually, there is a documentary here in Spain about a case called La Promesa, and it's about that.
Sí.
And I know the director, and the thing is, it is about his mother, and the thing is, she lost completely touch with reality. It was like this degenerating illness she had, and she signed all the papers saying that if that would to happen, she would like her life to be ended. However, the government wouldn't allow it, so they couldn't do that. So that's the thing, and all the documentary goes around it. So I wasn't completely against euthanasia, but I had my
Issues
my
with
thoughts.
it.
Yes,
Yeah,
but after the documentary, I thought, well, I think in some cases there shouldn't even be a
question about it.
Yeah.
Okay. See, folks, and I'm actually looking up the film. I'm kind of curious about it. I want to. Is it? I'm sure it's on Film In, probably.
Probably.
Documental Plato de Cine. Yeah, okay, folks, La Promesa. Thank you, man. See, culture, and this is what we serve up in here. Now, unfortunately, we also have to serve up culture from the United States because it's God's country. And so here are some of the key developments. Now, I just have to make one quick shout out. There is an article that just came out on the New York Times where there is a revelation of emails between Elon Musk, who has just stepped down, talking to people who are working with and or for him. And you can look this up. It's actually available to read. And I highly recommend people to look at that because it is scary how the ketamine is certainly breaking down that person's, I'll just call him a person. I mean, I need a cap for that motherfucker, but whatever. And I think that there's an element of truth that people should read that, take it with a grain of sugar and or salt, however. But it's a reality check into something that's happening in that country when nearly 150,000 people have just lost their jobs, functionary civil servants in that country. He has stepped down. While he stepped down yesterday in the Oval Office, he was sporting a black eye that he then said his son, X, had given him because they were playing rough. And he said, hit me. And apparently his 5-year-old kid hit him. And he had a huge thing, but he was also tripping balls in the White House next to Trump. It was very, very real. Apparently, he is concluding his tenureship as the head of Doge, citing the need for new leadership. And he will remain as an advisor and continue in his role at Tesla for a few more years, apparently. Now, the announcement that here's the thing that's affecting us in Europe. Trump is doubling down on this 50% tariff, that he will wait until July, but then he wants to pretty much he just went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. So every product coming in and or out of Europe will now be receiving a 50% tariff. He also declared a 50% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports, or aluminium, doubling the previous 25% that was effective as of June 4th. That means after the weekend, everything that affects construction in that country and or around it, or islands near it as well, are going to have this ridiculous tariff, or aranceles as they call them here. The move aims to bolster national security. That's the justification for this. It's fun. According to union steelworkers, they're expressing their concern about potential job losses because so much of that steel and things of that stuff actually does come from other sources like Europe, but specifically Canada. Fun. Now, an executive order to defund National Public Radio and PBS. And then I want to talk a little bit about Harvard and historical issues when you're heading education as the historian nerd here. President Trump signed Executive Order 14290, yet another one, directing the corporation for PBS and to cease funding for NPR and for PBS. The rationale behind this is that the administration is claiming that these outlets, which is, it's nationally funded public stuff, exhibit only bias towards the left, and public funding for news programming is outdated. Like, they still show things that educate children in the mornings. So they want to take that off the air because, it's left wing. And response. The NPR and PBS both have filed lawsuits arguing that this, of course, is a violation of the First Amendment. So they come after education, they come after public services, and they come after things like that. none of us have come from or known anything of historically that this has never happened before. Okay. And so when we see these things happening, by the way, Harvard is standing up to everything that they're doing. The way Kristi Noem and these people are trying to make it like this is a Homeland Security issue. If anyone doesn't know, Harvard has been mandated by Homeland Security and the United States administration of the government under Trump to get rid of all immigrant students. Just so you know, the average immigrant student has to pay top dollar. Top dollar at Harvard means pretty much near $400,000 for your education. And if you want to get a master's, it's well over $500,000. Have fun. So if you live in Massachusetts, where they are located, you actually get a major discount. You pay less if you live within the United States of America and or Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and American Samoa. You also pay a certain amount that, is stipulated also. I mean, you can get grants, you can get funding, whatnot. But it is not a cheap thing. It's 6 figures every year to go to Harvard. So the immigrants there, who make up nearly 28% of the population of Harvard, are paying swap zwala and are bringing in a lot of money into the economy, not just of Harvard, but of Massachusetts and the federal government, obviously, because that money has to go and pay off on taxes and things of that nature. Hello. Well, they've already received cuts on their funding. They are fighting every single one, and so far Harvard is maintaining. Now, other people that are fighting the tariffs were federal judges who actually turned over. Now, these federal judges turned over what the tariffs that Trump is putting into effect. They turned them over on Thursday. It was a Reagan judge, a Trump judge, and a Biden judge. They all agreed this was illegal because who has the power of the purse? The capital of the United States of America. Incidentally, so same thing here in Spain. And Congress hasn't signed off on this, So the next day, yesterday, another judge reversed that pause, and so apparently the tariffs are still in order. This is the fun of the United States of America that, well, 2 of us are from, and 2 others are glad to not be from. I mean, can I ask you, my gentlemen callers, when you were growing up, en plan como 2000, did you think differently of the United States before Bush or did you think, those bastards on the Hill?
When
you were little bitty.
I think I just glamorize the USA the way a lot of people, especially young people, do because of the media and seeing it in movies and hearing about it in pop culture. You just think it is.
Melrose Place. Come on now.
Exactly, 90210.
Yeah.
And then, I was young, like I must have been around 12 when George Bush came into power. And I just remember hearing how it was like a bad thing and not really understanding politics yet. But that kind of started to then change my understanding of it. And then as I got older and older, the idea of this freedom country that it portrayed was slowly dismantled.
America.
What about you?
Well, the thing I always do, first of all, is separate the country's culture and people from the government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing you have to do in Brazil, where I'm from. So you pretty much apply that to everywhere else. And
is Bolsonaro still hiding out in Florida? Está en Florida, ¿verdad?
No, he's not. He's in Brazil because he cannot leave. If he does, he'll be arrested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So but you get the hang of things. I mean,
totally.
The thing I've always been attuned to U.S. culture in music and in movies and everything. So that has never changed. That has never changed this part. But I see like the government is like in this going down without stopping, throwing itself out of the window.
Truly.
Yeah, but that happens in Brazil too, and that happens in other parts of the world. So I don't think it's exclusive there. So
yeah. I feel my concern is that more people will see this since the power state is doing it, and they're like, oh, we can do it too. Podem fer-lo tentar una vegada. So, what do you think? Because, you escaped.
Yes, I did. I think that I grew up kind of always knowing that the U.S. was shady. because I'm half Palestinian.
Amen. Testify.
So, I remember having conversations with my dad and him being like, you're just never going to understand, Lena. You're too Western already. And I was like, wait, what does that mean? Like, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to have a conversation. But the truth is that you have to dismantle and relearn your history. And that's a privilege to do. Like, education is a privilege.
Unveiling, I think, too.
Absolutely,
Yeah. It's a great
absolutely.
lead-in.
And you get to question and realize, okay, what are the motives of everyone? And also, though, if you do plan to sleep through these transitions, you are co-creating this, and you have to accept that responsibility, which our play does talk a lot about, like this lack of political responsibility and how that ends up in a certain place, and we can't blame anyone because we're all a part of it.
Yeah. Well, you can blame your parents till you're 40, but there's that contract, that contract. But no, exactly. Oh, you know what? That's a perfect. We're going to stop it there. We're going to throw on a song and come back to talk about The Unveiling. Now playing at BCN Studios. You can get tickets and information of that as well at thebcnstudio.com. And this is, it's a great song, actually. This is Cold Paris Vogue. It's from an indie artist named Mark William Lewis. And if you don't know his work, you can subscribe. You can find him wherever good music is streamed and or YouTube. Beautiful stuff. Cold Paris Vogue. It is a short little ditty. We'll be right back to talk about The Unveiling.
Stay, yeah. Can we stay in this place? Can we stay in this place? This place forever, forever, forever. River rising up, sun is shining, sun is shining down, reading through your ice cold magazine. Stay.
That was Cold Paris Vogue and Mark William Lewis. Look that up. But right now, you can look up that In Poblasec, the first new summer English theater production here in Barcelona and Catalonia is kicking off. It is called The Unveiling, and it's already kicked off. In fact, this is the opening weekend. And I want to thank three of its actors for being here. Lady L, Sir S, and Mr. A. That's their aliases. We're all going to go kill somebody in the name of the Lord after this as mafia people. But speaking of The Unveiling, because your lead off, or your, I guess the outro into this lead off now, was perfect. And let me get all my questions here, because I drafted these questions and I thought, okay, let me ask Walter, ChatGPT, to help me with, and it made them more nerdy. But then I thought, you know what, this is nerdy, but I'm going to send them anyway. Now, so when we look at those questions and look at what the unveiling is, who can give us a little bit of, who can unveil a little bit of the unveiling for us?
Sam, you want to take it away?
Sure. It's a play by Václav Havel, who he released it in the 70s. He himself is a very political person, and he was the president of Czechoslovakia.
During that time, he was the president.
Well, he was the last president, basically, before it finished up in 1992. And so he had done a bunch of these political plays as a way to express his feelings and the rights of artists and people that were struggling under the political trauma that they were having to go through. And Unveiling kind of definitely takes a look at more like the attack of kind of the capitalism and materialistic possession and pride, especially brought on by the West and the USA especially. And so he kind of always writes himself into his plays, basically, and the character that represents him has been in prison for X amount of time. He comes out and he goes to visit some friends thinking that maybe they will have a sympathetic ear, but instead his kind of world is flipped when he finds that they just are only interested in their own possessions and showing off what they have and kind of just lecturing him on how life should be. Probably a lot in the way of feeling subconsciously guilty that maybe they're not, living a way that's honest to themselves and are rather hiding behind this kind of perfect reality that's obviously not perfect.
I feel like you just described the plurality of heterosexual men, and I'm totally kidding. I'm Shirley, I just
Don't call me Shirley, bitch.
but I think that that impact, like it wrote over here about freedom and the oppression that he was coming out of. Obviously, things changed poco a poco and has for the last 32 years there. But that is honestly one of the things that I've noticed with the Trapdoor Theater productions is that they take something from the past that is completely even more relevant now.
Yes. Definitely.
And that is, I think, a shout out to Lady Beta again for noticing that, because that's the kind of stuff that she produces.
Yeah.
Now, you two, I do believe, play two of the leads there, along with Irish brother. I believe he's an Irish brother.
Yeah, Dermot Flanagan.
Dermot, his lips are like the perfect lips. I just have to say that for a man. I love that brother's lips.
He does have lovely lips.
And he is a funny ass guy.
Yeah.
But is this a dark comedy again, or does it keep pretty dramatic? Or is it a dramedy? How would you describe it, Lady O?
I would say, well, it's absurdist theater. It's very physical, which is my favorite, I think, because you start to laugh, hopefully, It's funny. It's like, oh my gosh. And then you think about it and you're like, wait a second. Like, wait, I do that. And I know people who talk like that, and my family is like that. And, and then you start having those, like, revelations afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think comedy is the best way that you get in the door, But it is absurdist, and there is a political backdrop, and we do hint at it without being super, super direct, which is also the characters. We are very indirect with Dermot's character on purpose. So
do the characters do it on purpose, or?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because...
So they are aware of how they're being.
Well, I think it's like you have to be brave to sit down and have a conversation with someone and really listen. And we are not doing that on purpose because we've decided to buy out. And we're happy with our choices because as long as we keep sleeping, we get to live in this fantasy world. Whereas like waking up, and that's also what like Havel talks a lot about, is his awakenings, these awakenings in his pieces. And our characters refuse to do that, and you see the price in the end.
Why do you think they're more interested in that than how his well-being coming out of where he's coming from is?
Well, we would have to atone for what we have decided to do, which is
you have to get tickets to see that.
Absolutely.
By the way,
Every weekend in June up until June 15th.
Yes.
In fact, and it's playing this weekend, the following weekend, and then the following weekend after that. Like I said, it is the intro to the summer season, darlings, and this is the first English production, so we're proud to be repping that. Sir A, tell us a little bit about your character, please. Mr. A.
Yeah, the thing is that the character I play in this play, it was actually written years after So it's like coming back to that world years after, and what has become of those characters years after. So, and that's when my character comes into play. So, and he is like this distant, you can say he's like this distant cousin, or someone that's affiliated with Michael, the character. So, he comes in as this, they are all absurd in a certain way, but he is someone that disrupts everything because it's like your employee that you cannot fire. So so he does a little bit of everything. It's like their waiter when they need, or their bodyguard when they need, or everything when they need. So he's basically there to serve them. But he manages to do his mischiefs as well, so it's nice. So it's a counterpoint in a way. You know, it's somebody that arose afterwards. You know, you can really think about it as this kind of shady guy. You know, with shady things that he does in society that probably comes from whatever Michael's character has been doing with his business or whatever. You can think everything because just like other plays and other works that they are really good and really well written, you can dive into it and think pretty much anything you want because there is a lot open to be put there as well. Okay. So it's a little bit like that. That's Beta.
See? And remember, folks, over the next 3 weekends, in fact, it's tonight as well. Okay, we're going to throw on a song right now, but how do you, I mean, you did it last night? Did you perform last night or premieres
Saturdays
tonight?
and Sundays.
Okay, so it's premiering tonight,
Opening
everybody. And you're here. I'm sure you were practicing and prepping last night.
Yes.
You're here in the morning practicing and not practicing, but promoting here. Then you're going to go practice. Then you go into. How do you stay chill? Do you meditate? Do you?
Did anyone say we're chill?
There's a calm energy here. I'm the one
Cusp
that's
of
a
nervous
fire
breakdown.
storm.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just, at least for me, when it's something like this that you just love, then you can just keep going and going and pushing yourself because it's just what gives you life and you enjoy. If it was a different type of job, then I'd be like, I'm doing like intense therapy in between and things like that. But for this, it's just like, I can't wait. I can't wait for people to see what we've been working so hard on.
Honestly.
Oh yes, and really working hard. I know.
Okay.
I've been, yeah.
And when you're doing that, you have to go all the way. And guess what? The next song is called "I'm Going All the Way."
I'm a like hardcore segue, dude.
Okay, this is another old school classic. This is called Sounds of Blackness. If you don't know who the Sounds of Blackness are, please look them up and follow them. That was just classic stuff. Good house music too, but this is more gospel. I'm Going All the Way. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. We've got a lot more questions about the play as well.
I can't run
All right. Now, I know church is tomorrow, but for some of us, it's Saturday. Okay. Can't eat, though, till the sun goes down. Now, and only fish. I'm just kidding. That's yesterday, right? Okay, I don't remember what Catholics do either. So, all right, let's talk about the passivity of silence, because this is something that you touched on. And it symbolically plays in the play's narrative. Now, oh my God, excuse me. That said, my body's eating itself right now. But that said, what is it saying about, if you can relate it to a modern time, about this consumerism society that we live in and the post-oppression that people have come out of? Because, I mean, Franco died 50 years ago. And we've progressed a lot, although Europe waited 8 years to take us into the commission. But because of women's rights, hello, by the way, look it up. And what do you think that says? What's the play trying to say in a modern sense, do you think? Or how do you interpret that?
Oof, okay, silence. I think it could be viewed in a couple of different ways. I think, for example, with Vanek's character, who takes a bit more of like a silent, passive way.
And he's the main character.
He is the main character.
Yes, he's the guest that's come over for dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that actually his silence is a way of rebellion. Like, he's like, I refuse to take part in a society that doesn't have any ethical grounding. I'm not going to be a part of that. And I'm going to let you sit with that silence, because clearly you're threatened by that, and you're threatened by the space to reflect and think. And in the end, like, our characters kind of eat themselves with that silence, which is very fascinating. I
The
think
couple he comes to visit.
yes, we're eating ourselves, we're consuming. It's all like this positive feedback loop, which is really funny to look at in our society today, which we have like a lot of people distracting us from the news, or you have, you know, a video where kids are dying and the next one is like, buy this new thing. And it's like, wow, what a parallel. Like, what are we living in?
Desensitization.
Yeah, and that's very relevant in the play and today.
How do you feel about that, Aldo?
Yeah, I was thinking, of course, it wasn't supposed to be, it wasn't thought about that at the time that he wrote the play, but nowadays, if you think about it, if you're not in social media, if you're silent in that way, in some regard, you don't exist. And everyone else, no matter the amount of BS they've been saying, they do exist. And they have much more of a voice than you do, even though you might say one thing, but not on social media. You're silent there. And it doesn't matter. So I think lots of things that if you bring it to now and to the current time, what they are is this very shallow people, like talking nonstop in social media in a way. And Vanek would be the guy.
Glorified.
Yeah, that's super glorified, and they are the ones who got the money. They are the ones who can do everything and have all this influence. And of course, they eventually that all falls down. But along the way, a lot of society and a lot of what we are is destroyed. And this guy, the silent one, like in a way, he walks away from that, but walks away towards what?
Towards what?
Yeah.
Hence, there's a question that I'd written about the alienation, and then Walter called it the concept of alienation, but he alienates himself.
Yeah.
I had to do some research about the play too. So, is that the walking away? And how many of us have done that, gone off the grid? I mean, because we were not all born here. Oh, God. So, that sense of alienation, do you think is that what's causing the incel movement? But Mij broma, right? Okay, well, we can answer that question and solve the rest of the world's problems after this one song that we're going to throw. And then I want to come back and give a little bit more information. I'll push it up in your face like drum and bass about where you can get your tickets as well over the next few weeks. This is a song, it's actually a newer song by a little female outfit called Holly Brune, and I just dug the mix. Look them up. You can find wherever good music is streamed as well, but nobody else is going to play them except here. This is Do Me a Favor. Do Me a Favor. Get right back in 2 to 3 minutes. We'll be right back with the cast of The Unveiling. The final questions here. The title suggests, the transformation and revelations it's called The Unveiling. What do you think it unveils as character actors in this about yourselves? Did you find anything or discover anything about yourselves playing these, poignant characters in this time? Aldo, let's start with you.
All right. So the thing is, I was always in rehearsal watching them because they do most of the play, and I play mostly in the end. So there is one thing. I don't want to give too much of a spoiler.
Totally.
But there is one thing about the play that it progressively shows you more about what's inside rather than what's in the outside of these characters, what's going on inside. So the unveiling in that sense is showing that. And it's of course connected to the silence of the other character, because that silence, I think, it's what also makes this unveiling come forth in a way.
Okay. Did you feel anything about yourself? Did you?
Oh yeah, you can definitely relate when you're being like robotic in a way, like the characters, and then you think, oh my God, when I do certain things, I'm being just like them. So there is, of course, you find yourself in those characters.
That's when you do that capture, that inner capture, folks. Sam, what about you, sir?
Well, I think as in terms of unveiling my skills as an actor, like I really enjoy working with Beata Pilch, who has the Trapdoor Theatre, and this is Trapdoor Theatre International, but she's from Chicago. She has
shout out.
She started a theatre there over 30 years ago, Trapdoor Theatre, which is well renowned over there, and she's always doing these amazing plays, like we said, that have like there are historical, but then the themes still apply to today, which is fantastic. So I did The Troublemaker with her last year. I was on here for that. And that kind of looked at immigration and coming to a small town as a foreigner, and how then everyone can turn against you, and but yeah, because it's absurdist theater, because she loves physical theater, as an actor, it's a fantastic challenge, because this is a play with, say, 3-4 characters, so it means a lot of lines for some of us.
Yeah.
So that's always a fun challenge. Then on top of that, you have this whole kind of physical choreography. There's not a moment. She's like, Beata hates it when a character just sits down and just talks on the sofa for 20 minutes. So she's like, no, we're not having any of that. So we're constantly on our toes, constantly moving. You're always thinking about, okay, what's coming next? What do I have to put the cup down here, and then I have to go over here, and then I have to sing it there. Then we're kind of picking people up, dancing around, being physical.
The marking must be staging.
So it's been, a fantastic challenge, and pushed myself a lot in that way. So that's definitely something that I was like, okay, good, I'm able to do this. I'm capable of this.
Strengthening your inner
lovely
self.
Unveiling in itself, yes.
Lady L, let's wrap it up with the Queen.
Yeah.
What do you think, man?
I think it has pushed me to become more comfortable with my body and being in my skin. Because also this character is very out there, which is cool. And maybe I am too in my personal life, but not in this particular way. So that's been a challenge. But I also agree with Sam. It's like, it's also taught us that when we start thinking on stage, boom, that is the moment we mess up. And because, you are doing 3 things at the same time constantly. So just go with it. Don't stop and think. As soon as you stop, the flow goes. And that has taught me a lot as an actor. So yeah.
God, I love that.
Very
Don't
physical.
stop till you get enough. Now, again, premiering tonight, again tomorrow. What time does this play start on Saturdays?
So Saturdays at 8 and Sundays at 7 at the
Okay.
BCN Studio. The BCN Studio, shout out, is actually a fantastic place. If you haven't been there already, there's always things going on. There's other theater. We've got Death of Dystopia coming up, and The Heroes of the Fourth Turning coming up as well there. So please consider going to see those as well. There's comedy during the week, improv on Wednesdays, dance, music. So there's always something happening. It's a beautiful space. So if you want to go somewhere and feel like you belong to a community, meet new people, meet strangers, and just not be home watching Netflix by yourself sometimes, then this is a beautiful alternative. Yeah.
Come have some wine and some beer too.
I was going to say, and they've got a lovely little snacks and vino and everything you need in those cocktails too, kids. Again, that's the bcnstudio.com. You can get your tickets there as well, and get more information that is there also found on Instagram, as well as Trapdoor Theatre International. Also on Instagram, you can get tickets there. The link is there as well. And we here at the Club with Lucas and our CE Studios will be sending that over for the next few weeks. Thank you, folks, for being here so much. As usual, we just want to give the glory to the higher power. And remember to love yourself, because if nobody's loving you, if you're not loving yourself, how are you going to love anybody? I'm not going to repeat what RuPaul says, but it is true. Now, Shantae Savage. We often start the show sometimes with Shantae Savage, but we're going to end it with a slower jam she did with Todd Terry, I believe. Is that the actor? Anyway, that Todd DJ from the 90s. This is Shantae Savage with Still, Be Still, and Know That You Are, and we'll see you on the flip side. In fact, in the next hour, we've got Gigi McFarlane coming in. Bye, everybody. See you on the flip.